Good morning! Okay, I'm trying again with another video today. Excuse the hair, I'm having some technical difficulties with my bangs, obviously. But, aside from me being super girly, I wanted to do some movie analysis, or movie synopsis today. So I have two movies in mind that I've super been into this year, and I've watched for the first time this year, and I really enjoy them, is Antrum and Into the Void. Or Enter the Void, not Into, it's Enter the Void. Super interesting films. I'm going to just kind of go over these movies. I have already written them in my journal because obviously they're a thing. I have a thing for occult stuff, like it's interesting. And also, I want to preface before starting this. Obviously, the two main things that you are probably familiar with these quick uploads are, one, I have to be within 15 to 30 minutes because I'm on break at work, and two, I must preface that I do hallucinate, so that's part of the reason why I enjoy these movies. Whether or not you hallucinate or not, that's really up to you, or not up to you, but you might or might not enjoy these movies if you do this on top of it, mine is due to a mental illness, yours might be through drugs, whatever, or I'm not saying do drugs, I'm just, whatever, you know what I mean. The second part is, I do want to warn anyone who watches these movies, if they do want to, which I highly encourage. One, seizure warning for Enter the Void. It discusses very taboo topics such as incest, drugs, death, murder, all these weird things, and just, you know what I mean. That's the preface of it. And then Antrum, we'll just start there. I'm going to start with the movie synopsis of Antrum. Now, if I look over here, it's because I'm looking at my journal notes, so I'm focused on staying on topic. But first things first, Antrum, fuck, I hate saying the name. But it starts off with a brother and a sister. Well, no, I need to go a little bit further back. Antrum starts the movie off with talking about how it's the deadliest movie in the world. How everyone who's seen the film has died coincidentally the very next day. And that was the one thing that was, similar with all these deaths, is that everyone had seen the movie the previous day. Oh, hold on, my bunny ears are being a little wonky. There we go. So, they talk about how all these people have been not murdered, but, killed, whether it be an accident, people watching the movie in a film, or they had watched it in a movie theater, and one of these guys, makes everyone take LSD because he puts it in the popcorn and doesn't tell anyone. And then everyone who had experienced that, no one really died, but everybody was freaking out, and some people were trampled and killed. Contradicting my previous statement. I'm a scatterbrain, I apologize. But, where'd that car come from? Anyways. So, it essentially just goes over how it's the deadliest movie, everyone who's seen it has died. And then, ta-da, just a little side note, it's on Amazon Prime. Now, I may or may not enter, pictures of the film posters or parts of the film. If I do, it's going to be after I upload, or after I finish filming this, or it's going to be later in the day, because, obviously, I'd have to go into editing and go into my laptop, my personal one, and I just don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. I like to just upload these willy-nilly. So, if I do upload it with the edits, it's currently 7:36 a.m., December 16th. Why that's important to me? I just like to document things. It's a Wednesday. Okay. It's so freaking weird. Alright, so, deadliest movie in the world, so on and so forth. Now, the synopsis of the film, once you start, is about this older sister and a younger brother. They're the two main characters, which is going to be similar for Enter the Void, but we'll go into, I digress. So, Antrum, younger brother, older sister, they go, and it starts off with them in like a vet area, and their dog is being put down. And around the hospital are a bunch of posters about dogs going to heaven, yada yada. And eventually, the kids are sad, dog dies, whatever. And the son asks the mom, like, hey, did our dog go to heaven? She's like, no, well, he's a bad dog. He went to hell. So, long story short, they go from the kid having a nightmare about the dog biting him to them going to a forest to essentially rescue their dog's soul from hell. This is where the occulty stuff comes in. All right, so they start doing a seance to protect their spirits from going through the depths of hell. And the older sister had written down all of the steps and levels of hell and how to survive them and, like, what is to expect. And she's like, oh, well, level 2, you'll face this big demon dog, and his name is yada yada, and if you make certain moves, like, he'll hear him and you have to run, and blah, blah, blah. And she goes into great detail about, like, what the different steps of hell are. Excuse the pauses, it helps the anxiety, it relieves the anxiety. But anyways, so, as she's describing this, we then skip to them beginning to dig the hole. So the seance is over, they start digging the hole. And from there, that's where it gets interesting. They start actually experiencing what the sister had described previously. And this is where it gets freaky. Because as they're running for their lives, the sister pulls the younger brother aside and is, like, sobbing, crying as she's, like, she's disheveled, she's trying to fill the hole, she's freaking out, because what she stated is actually happening. And to the viewer, you're like, the fuck, I thought that was the point of the movie. No. She had actually made it all up. And she's freaking out because it's actually happening, and she's, like, not sure what is going on, and she's terrified, and now they're having to, survive hell. And it's very interesting. I don't want to spoil 100% of things. Obviously, we're in the middle of a movie synopsis, but I still want there to be parts of the movie that are enjoyable. Like, I don't want to ruin the entire thing for you. I still think you should watch it. It's very entertaining. It plays on fears of your mind and how we see the world. And it's very interesting. You start seeing things that are not there. And at some point, like, I think in the preface it's talking about how somebody had intentionally grabbed bits of the film and spliced occult stuff in there to make it seem more dark than it was, because it's supposed to be like a found film from, like, a 70s horror movie, right? So that's interesting. So they ended up keep having to go through the levels of hell, and then they find out, whatever ends up happening, and it's just, I enjoy the movie. It's really terrifying, and I enjoy thrillers like that. I find them to be extremely exciting, and I thoroughly believe that you should watch the film. But with that being said, let's go into the movie synopsis of Enter the Void. Now, Enter the Void is, I just watched it yesterday for the first time last night, and I will preface I was not sober. I've been not sober for both filmings of these movies, and I'm not encouraging it, I'm just saying. It's the truth. So Enter the Void is, I have to give, obviously, the seizure warning and the psychological insanity, drugs, sex, incest, blah, blah, blah. This one's a wild one. Alright, so Enter the Void begins with you seeming into the eyes of a drug dealer or someone addicted to drugs. He comes off, you're sitting on a couch, and he starts smoking intensively, like, hit after hit after hit after hit. He's getting intoxicated. And he ends up laying down on the couch, and you are being forced to view his LSD ride kind of thing. Because he takes, MDMA, that's what he smokes. And so he's hallucinating, and you're just like forced into this, and you're just seeing colors shift and swirl and move about. And there's this weird, like, ambient noise slash music in the background, and it's really disorienting. And then you pull up, and he starts waking up because somebody's calling him. Long story short, I don't want to. I have 5 minutes left out of my 15 minutes. So, long story short, this movie dives into how he ends up getting killed, and then it reverts back to his very toxic relationship between him, his sister, and the trauma from his childhood. His parents end up getting in a car accident, and they witness this trauma, and they see their parents dead in the car, and the sister is screaming, crying for help. She is trying to get away, and she's pulling at her car seat, and she can't get out. She gets separated from her brother, and then they make a pact when they're little kids, before any of this even happened, that they'll always be together. They end up getting separated in the foster care system. They end up reuniting back as adults and ending up together romantically and start doing X, Y, and Z. Now, prior to his murder from the cops for flushing down a bunch of drugs into a disgusting, disgusting toilet from a strip club, it starts going into other parts of his life, like where he ended up doing this and how he ended up starting to do that. And then this is where the movie gets freaky. So the main character is both the younger brother and the older sister, hence the same idea as antrum. Two main characters are siblings. Now it goes into the perspective of what she's doing, and then it's also going through the perspective of what he's doing. She outlives him, so the movie at some point goes over the aftermath of his life once he dies and how she continues on. So long story short, I don't want to ruin anything, but everything kind of ends up coming full circle, and I'll leave it there. I want to say it so bad, but I really think you should watch the movie. I think both of them are spectacular. They're super enjoyable, and if you do hallucinate because of said disorders, if that's not enjoyable for you and that genuinely scares you and that would give you a really bad trip, obviously don't watch these movies. But if you are someone like me who does hallucinate it and you enjoy it and it's just an adrenaline run, I highly recommend watching them. I think they're a ton of fun, and they're a great just like movie night, freak yourself out kind of thing. I love psychological movies. I love when they build up to this exuberant amount of momentum and then it just goes and it flies, and I love it. But that's about all I have left to say. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm getting better, I think, a little bit at looking at the camera. Yeah, that's about all I have. I hope you have a wonderful day, and if I do upload this shortly after me being done, that means I'm not editing it, so hello. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.